Courage and clarity go hand in hand because if you muster up the courage for something, then it would be nice to know what you are doing it for. I mean, courage takes a lot of energy, and if that energy gets shattered, then where does it leave us? Well, today is Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy. And on top of that, we also have day one of the Courage Challenge. Well, for those who have seen me before, I need to switch to Instagram. Fingers crossed that it's going okay with the sound. And let's go. So, as if it's correct, you can still hear me, but you couldn't see me just for a little while. But here we are. So, just like last week, when we talked about, oh, yeah, there we go, about courage, about being a role model, having the right mindset, and having a message out there. Today, we are going to talk about clarity and specificity. So, I looked at all the topics that I've been talking about. This is still a bit of a challenge. Yeah, it takes courage to create those things. Anyway, it's about showing up. That's what I'm doing right now. It's about reflecting. Reflecting can be done before you start, so you know what it is about, but of course also afterwards, and it's about resilience. And together, the whole goal is clarity and specificity. So this week, I've been talking about so many things. First of all, I was so immensely happy that I got to do the Clarity Challenge. I cannot tell you, no, not the Clarity Challenge. Here I am. Yes, this is live. I was so proud that I got to do Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy. I was like, oh my God, it's been over a year and 3.5 months since I did a live. And here I was doing a live, and it felt so good. And it was okay, I'm going to keep on doing this. And, this week, last week was about reflection, a lot of reflection on, okay, so how did I go? How did I get here? That was the main thing. How did I get here? And well, I've been coached for a while now, in the last 12 weeks. Well, actually, in the last 5 months, because when I was in Chicago, we had some trouble connecting to one another. And of course, before that, I was in Florida and in Austin. So, yeah, that was a little bit, well, it went a little bit haywire, but in the end, it turns out to actually work very well. So it worked in my favor. And, well, when we reflected on the past 12 sessions or 11 sessions, I had done my own reflection as well. And I said, well, we talked a lot about consistency. And that's the one thing that has stuck with me, consistency. So you asked me what I needed. That's what I said to the coach. And I told her I need consistency. I was aware that I hadn't gone live every week anymore. And as far as my YouTube channel was in the picture, well, if you want it to be in the picture, you need to post at least once a week, long form content. So that's over 10 minutes, but preferably 2 to 3 times. Now, for those you have watched me before or have been coached by me, you know that I talk about one step at a time. And that also applies to me, of course. And yes, we will get into, but what if we have 2 things we want to work on? We'll talk about that later. So consistency. That's what it started with. And consistency, being coached, that leads to, yes, challenges. And yes, today, of course, first day of the Courage Challenge. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So I decided to do a Christmas challenge. And in order to do the Christmas challenge, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to post every day on Instagram starting December 1st up till the 24th. In my mind, it was already till 26th. But, you know, I was like, okay, that's an easy start. Easy because December is a dark month. People, you know, on one hand, there are a lot of festivities, but for those people who are alone or are missing a loved one, that's actually the hard part. They miss the other ones. I honestly say, when I think about Christmas Eve, I remember those nights with my parents and the entire family. We would go to church, we would come back, there would be something to eat. There was a very festive vibe to it. Of course, shaking hands, which we did back then, with other people, wishing them a Merry Christmas. It was all a nice vibe, and those bells when they were ringing, those clocks. I mean, it felt good, really felt good. And when my parents weren't around anymore, you know, everything changed. So this was specifically something which was part of my youth. And all the other partners I got after that, they didn't understand that feeling, but I did. And so I wanted to stay in that same vibe. But I understand it when people feel lost because the people they love are no longer around, and maybe they've never had that special someone to begin with. So there can be so many reasons why people don't feel up to it. Maybe they just don't have the energy. They've been laid off, other things have happened. You know, there are so many reasons that people could be alone. So basically, that was easy. I can talk about it for hours, but here we are in January. So this is about courage. So let me continue on about courage. So the first sign of courage was actually when I said, I'm not going to just do it till the 26th. You know what? I'm going to continue on till the end of the month. And pretty quickly I said, you know what? I'm going to do a clarity challenge, not a clarity challenge, a New Year's challenge. If I talk about clarity, then that's because I've done multiple clarity challenges and clarity is so important. So I know I've been throwing it out there a couple of times now. But yes, for those who sign up, there can be and there will be a link to one of the clarity challenges too. If, well, that's something to talk about later. But for now, clarity is key when it comes to courage, as in focusing your energy. So again, I started with the Christmas challenge. It smoothly it smoothly went on into the New Year's challenge. And then I was like, okay, but what am I going to do? Am I going to stop posting every day, or am I going to continue on? And I decided to continue on. So today is day 57, if correct, of posting. And oh my God, what? It feels so good to say that I've been doing it. The last couple of days was a little bit weird. Had to do with a number of things. On one hand, um, posting as in promoting, which I could have done more, although with every video out there and every post, it was about courage, and I did mention the courage challenge. So I didn't do it as specifically as I did yesterday and today. So also there were some other things which caught my attention. So I was like, you know what? I need to post it anyway. So let's get that part out there. And actually it felt kind of good to post it. So, this is about learning and and ongoing learning. So just to um, talk about yeah, coordination, that part, and then especially on the camera. So this is basically about the whole reflection thing over there, which is about, okay, what did I do to get here? And like I said, I talked about it with my coach too, but I also reflected on it myself. And the Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy is also about looking back on the week. What have I talked about? What have I posted? So, and the cool thing is to get it all together in this framework, so it becomes one new framework we can use. So, hence this framework. Now, what I concluded, and I never in a million years would have thought that I would do it, was that it was important to not only categorize what I had been doing, but when it came to YouTube, also to schedule ahead. And that was new to me. So, of course, I can post like 6 or 7 videos straight away at one time, or I can use the option to schedule them. So every video, which was 10 minutes plus, got scheduled by me. And all of a sudden, I was working ahead of time. And I was like, me? Really? I used that energy this week to actually record things put on at the moment. I normally I would do it after the fact, exceptions being there, and I was like, no, I shouldn't be waiting to record them. I'll record them on the spot. And in addition, I did something else. I created notes. So when it comes to the month of December, I've got an entire page in notes. It sounds weird. You've got pages, but a page is in ongoing page in notes about what I talked about from day 1 up till day 31. And then day 32 starts with January, which is about courage. And then I put in there what I posted on Instagram. And then I also put in there when it would be airing or premiering on YouTube. And, it was such a weird realization. I'm not good when it comes to time. I usually run a little bit late. Lots of times it has to do with wanting to finish something in the right way, and also prepping the right way. So, for instance, this one, I was like, okay, I want to schedule this framework. I want to think about it. So I learned last week that I look back on the last week. So part of me had decided that day 1 of the Courage Challenge was going to be about mixed messages. But I also wanted to see, because Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy is about what did I talk about last week, if that would match. And yes, it did. That's so nice. Then, of course, I needed to have this printed. Well, I can tell you that didn't go that easy. I recently got a new printer because I had problems with the ink. I just don't print that much. I never thought that I would be the one for the paperless office, even though it's better for especially the trees out there, and hence for the environment. But I like I like writing, I like drawing and all that stuff. So in order to prepare, I actually wrote down a couple of things on here, and also on the backside of the other model, because I wanted to, get a better understanding of what it is I wanted to do. Anyway, I got a new printer, and then it didn't want to connect to the network. I got it to actually connect at some point, which was nice, because the first day that I tried to do it for accountancy, it it switched back to the normal network, and then it would be to the direct printing, and then switch back. So in order to just print one invoice, I had to print like 3 times, which of course is a waste of paper and a waste of time, and it's very annoying. So when just now it didn't want to start again, I was like, oh no, not again, not again. But I was good to go. So preparation, knowing what you want to get across, taking it one step at a time is key. And that's what I figured out, that if I know what I want to post and when, and what I already have posted, it makes all the difference. And that's where clarity actually sets in. So a few days later, we're talking about a few days later, after I'd been writing the blog post and I'd been reflecting on what had happened on Friday Night Live. So my reflection was on Saturday, on Sunday. I'm not sure. I think it was from Saturday to Sunday, actually. And on Tuesday, I had my weekly group coaching session. And I was thinking about things, and I was like, okay, this is going to be about mixed messages. And there were a number of reasons for it. But basically, the whole mixed messages idea is, hey, there she is, Cheeky Joe. I was waiting till she was there. I'm so happy she's there. I'm so thrilled. So let me know if you need the StreamYard link, ma'am. I don't think you do, but and if correct, Cheeky Joe is going to play a bigger role on this whole thing of Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy. That's it for now. I'm not going to tell you much more. Anyway, back to the mixed messages. I'm just going to show her this quickly. Today's framework, ma'am. It's about clarity and specificity, because if you want to use your energy to muster up the courage, then it's nice if you actually know what you are going to focus on, instead of just shattering all that energy all over. Now, that's nice that I did a recap, but now I need to think back about what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, see, it looks good. Yeah, well, I just shared that I had some problems with my new printer and that it didn't want to print, but I'm getting there. So it's, I'm happy. I'm proud that I can actually do it, and the colors are right. It was a little bit of a challenge because it was seen as a picture to get that printed otherwise. So the first version was actually this. Well, that doesn't look so good. So what I've noticed is, and I'm not sure if this is a right conclusion, but when people actually do not know what they want, what do? A number of them stop communicating altogether. And they say, well, I'm so used to. But one can wonder if that's actually the reason, or that one becomes quiet because on a subconscious level, there are doubts going on. Whatever reason the doubts are for, they're going on. So the mixed messages, I realized when talking to my own coach that when she said to me in one of those sessions, what does the future hold for you? And what do you want it to look like? Well, my first reaction is, well, I want to create a park where people come to get coached. I want 20 plus people, the adolescents and older in there who have trouble, finding their way between um, uh, going to school and then adult life. And then, of course, I also want the children's hospice over there. And I'm standing on the top of the mountain. I'm looking back, surrounded by other people. And I'm like, oh my God, look at those tiny houses. Look at that park. And there are so many investors in there who support the park. And the little ones who won't have long to live, they can record their message. But the big ones out there who will have plenty of time to live can also reflect on their life back in the day, nowadays, and how they want it to be. And that last part, that's where coaching, of course, comes in. I love to talk to people, figure out where they are stuck, and see how they can change it for the future. And again, that's what takes courage. So the reflecting part is not only about looking back, but also looking at the future. And what better than to do so either with friends or with a coach? So it was nice to be talking to my coach because she is a CHPC coach, which I am too, certified high performance coach. That's something that Brandon Burchard came with about a decade ago. And ever since I saw it, I was like, I need to be one too. Well, I am one. And I have to say, it has given me, yes, there we go again, clarity and specificity. So back to what she said. She said, okay, but what do you want for the short term? How do you want life to look like? And I was like, well, there are some things that I would want to get clarity on. A number of you know that I love being in the US. I don't necessarily need to live there 24/7, as in 365 days a year. Um, but it would be nice, or maybe half. But part of me definitely wants to be there during the cold days, the winter and the autumn here in the Netherlands. It's cold, it's dark, it's depressing, it's raining. It's not good for me physically. So I would like to be there. And I have these ideas of where I want to live, first of all, in a warm area. But of course, it also means that I need to do something. I mean, I can keep my fingers crossed that I can win the lottery. Yeah, they actually have a lottery for green cards. Or I do it on my own merit. And I personally believe in doing it on my own merit. That doesn't mean that I necessarily can have a permanent green card, but it can get me to go there. And well, I've ever since I've been in Florida, I fell in love with the concept of the lanai. And the first day I was like, lanai, that must be the wrong word. Well, it wasn't the wrong word. If correct, it comes from Hawaii. And um, the lanai is a place where you can sit outside, but still it's part of the house. So instead of glass, they have like these screens, these iron screens. They keep out all the bugs and all the insects. But you basically have your own second living room um, somewhere else, which is cool. So you can hear everything that's going on. Of course, there's also the sound of the air conditioning turning on and off. But I actually was in Lanai during a tornado storm, and that was actually kind of cool to watch. I heard it was safe, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. But yes, those I just fell in love. Working at 3 o'clock at night in the warmth, that's something that really spoke to me. And yes, Joe, I did. I did. Anyway, getting back to that idea, I remember someone pointing out a certain house over there. It was a tiny house, but then with 2 stores. That's how I came up with the whole concept of the tiny house. I was like, oh, yeah, that would be cool. But here's the thing. For me, it was important to be surrounded by friends. And of course, you don't know how many friends you have until it comes down to it. You get places more often. And I realized that I do have a few good ones over there. And then, of course, there are all the ones that it's nice to see again when you're there. But I was like, is that enough? And then there was also some other thing. I've got a ton of allergies, including for bug bites. And I was like, how's that going to work out? Now, the last time I went back to Florida, which was last year, I realized something that I hadn't realized before, which was that since COVID, everything basically has changed. So before COVID, a lot of restaurants would be open 24/7, and that has stopped. So in Florida, and probably it's related to the area where I was visiting, at 9:10 in the evening, it all stopped, which was weird. I have to say, when I was in Chicago, that was different. I would be able to go to the local supermarkets over there. Supermarket is a big word. But at least, I could get my water, some food, other stuff, appliances, whatever I needed. So that was nice to be able to have that. But yes, there are still some places left which are open, but it's more normal now to stay at home during the night. So there was already a difference, and not being out at night means no bug bites. So that's a good thing. So I also talked to someone else, and she started talking about the politics and the people in charge over there, and houses being really expensive nowadays. So what I've heard, and I've heard that about a lot of places actually in the US, is they take the old neighborhoods, which can use some renovation, and they tear down the houses, and then they put a new house on there. And that's a good thing if it were to be for the same people, those who have low incomes or average incomes. But the downside is, and I don't know if this applies to all, but apparently it applied to Florida, is that it gets replaced by houses which are for the wealthy out there. And that's the whole thing. So the question was, who's going to live there, and do I want to be part of it? So it was haywire in my mind. Like, what do I do? Where do I want to be? So when she asked me, what do you want your life to look like? What's the one thing you want to change? Well, being in the midst of winter here, I'm so done with this weather. It's cold. Everything is aching a little bit more. And I sleep. I constantly sleep, probably because it's dark and tired. It has a direct influence on how I feel. When there's more sunlight, I'm far more active. So works way better. Cheeky Joe can vouch for that one. So in order to get things done, it actually works way better for me to be somewhere where it's warm. That's what it comes down to. And then, of course, when I talk to other people about it, first of all, they ask me the same question. And second of all, they already had the answer. Everybody is like, what are you still doing here? And yeah, they have a point. There are some things I like about Holland, though. Um, but yeah, let's not get into it. I don't want to get into the whole politics. Life to one degree is to a certain degree is very good here in the Netherlands. I cannot say anything else. But on the other hand, I am also seeing it go downhill. That's what I wanted to say. And Cheeky Joe says, yes, I agree. I feel so lethargic. Yes, all we do is want to sleep. Well, she lives in the UK. That's not that different from the Netherlands. I think it's a little bit more extreme when it comes to the weather. When it's summer here and it's hot, over there they have fires. That's to be compared when it's freezing here, they have snow. Oh, that's that sums it up a little bit. So getting back to the mixed messages, I realized that my clarity was gone. My clarity about what I wanted was gone. And realizing so, I was like, okay, so what do I tell myself? So my coach talks about what do you send into the universe, which I can understand too. But we can take it one step further, and that's we're not only talking to the universe, but we're also sending messages to ourselves. And what we don't realize is how immensely powerful the subconscious mind is. If we say we are going to do one thing and we don't do it, and then we don't do it again, then the mind is like, yeah, sure, you can plan all you want. You're not going to do it anyway. That's why we talk about habits lasting at least 30 days, depending on who you talk to, it's 90 days. And even then, I mean, remember, I went live for 8 months every week on Wednesday. And then when Cheeky Joe and I were in Chicago, the timing was off. We had problems finding a moment to actually record. And other circumstances changed too. So that's why I'm so happy with the Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy, because I am here again. I'm doing it. So yeah, thrilled about it. Okay, going further ahead about the whole clarity thing. So going back to the night I was at hotel, I looked at all the videos. I realized that I really needed to sort them out a little bit better, because when you're on YouTube, you can link one video to the other one. And I mean, if I do it anyway and I get it out there weekly or more days a week, then at least let it make sense. So when I said we don't want our energy shattered all over the place, it also is linked to YouTube. Now, here's the thing. I already said that I was going to talk about, but what if you want two things? Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but it started out with me wanting to be consistent. So the main word, consistency to post on social media. And the easiest thing to do was to post on Instagram. And when I started doing it, being in the habit of recording videos which are longer than 10 minutes, it was actually kind of easy to record videos which were long form and could also be used on YouTube. So it was not primarily my goal, and sometimes I also recorded videos that were shorter, but it was nice, to be able to use it. So hence why I started to plan ahead, which was like, boom, mind blowing. Me planning ahead. That was really something. So from posting every day, from the Christmas challenge to the New Year's challenge to doing it every day now for 57 days, I said I'm going to do a challenge. Here, I want to say clarity challenge again. Oh, that one is so stuck. Must mean something. And so, yes, that's why I said if you sign up, I'll make sure that you also get the clarity challenge. But again, that's for later. And oh no, brain fog. Oh my God, this is hilarious. I'm in the middle of something, want to say something, and then brain fog. Okay, I know it again. Since I then done the clarity challenge, yes, that's the right one in November, and also the year before when Cheeky Joe and I returned for the first time from Chicago, I did the New Year's challenge, sort of, in line with the Christmas challenge. And then I was like, okay, basically the whole month of December was about energy. And then I was like, okay, so clarity, energy, courage. So I'm following basically the 12 modules, which we use as a CHPC, Certified High Performance Coach by Brendon Burchard, in case you missed it. And he has thought about this. So he says, if you follow all 12 modules, then you are guaranteed success. Okay. So that's what's nice about me being coached by CHPC Coach. I can actually experience it firsthand, which is always nice. So then I was like, okay, but how many times am I going to do this challenge? And yes, you may have heard this before. I'm going to share it anyway. And someone said, well, do it like every week. And I was like, no, you need to prepare these things in time. And then it was said, well, go live every Monday and Friday and announce that you're going to do a challenge or a webinar or whatever. It was Monday and Friday. I always went live on Wednesday. Well, I passed it on to my coach, and lo and behold, at some day it was said, oh, do it on Friday. Okay, so that's what I did. Last Friday, there I went live, and today's the second time that I'm here live. And yeah, I cannot tell you how good that feels. I still have to sort of get into the right modus, as in it's planning ahead, showing it on Instagram. You can have this little timer. And yes, I did plan that ahead of time. So not in the last hour, but actually the day before, or maybe even a few days before. And that was actually kind of nice to actually have it out there. It was set, not set in stone. It was set in digital zeros and ones. But still, it was out there. And of course, I can start a little late, but not much more than a little late. So here we are. So now we have the daily posting. We have the challenges, which I decided to go do the last weekend of each month, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then before I knew it, Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy. And Friday Night Live, I have to say thank you, Cheeky Joe, because she actually came with the title Friday Night Live with Lady Lexy. So, and I think that's so cool. I think that's a really cool name. Now, one of the other things that I already learned to do, so since March, so we're getting close to a year, I've been going live for the group coaching training every week, except for the holidays. And I did that consistent, so I knew that consistency was an option. Hey, there's Terry. If you want to come on, let me know, then I'll share the link. So knowing that I could do it, the consistency was actually the first step. The first step had to do with the group coaching training, getting out there, doing it like every week. And I was like, okay, so it is possible. So going forward, we talked about posting daily on Instagram. We talked about the challenges. And now there's the Friday Night Live. And of course, all is also related to the whole marketing, so to the whole website. And I was like, well, we can have a website out there. And here we go about talking about two topics. But that's no use if people don't know how to find me. So there might be a place that they need to go to. And of course, we want it to look good, but well, primarily they need to be able to find me. And it's nice to also have a website where you can link to all the content. And I have to say how much I have been sort of swearing about the platform, and Terry knows what I'm talking about. It also has one perk, which is I can basically link everything in there. And that's, of course, with modern technology, everything is coming together. When I was doing all these lives like a year ago, there was no possibility to add Instagram to all of it. But well, I've managed to do it. So that's so good. And now that Terry is here, Terry was actually one of the first ones out there. You, for me, was a big boost to actually go live every week. And the men would do it one day, I would do it another day, then Terry and Bunny would do it the next day. That was actually kind of nice. We all did it together, and we were like a support net. We were there for one another, and afterwards we would reflect. So when you look at this, then I'm sort of still talking about the topic of reflection, which of course has to do with how can you improve things now in the future, but also looking back on what we've done. Great seeing the progress you've made. Well, I can say thank you to you too. It's but yes, I've done a lot, especially traveling to Austin last year and to LA to see Brandon has made a huge difference. And of course, becoming a CHPC and wanting to know about that framework, then not knowing it until I went to Austin, which was half a year later. And then hearing just recently that Brandon basically said, well, what if you were to make a framework of every topic that you talk about? And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And that's way easier because then you get in the flow. Okay, so when we talk about the two things, it's nice if they align, if they work together. But having said so, I keep in mind that when it's about one step at a time, it's best to focus on that one thing that I already know. So the one thing that I'm familiar with, that is already out there. So when it comes to the result, there is way more results and reward when you continue with that one thing before you go to the next thing. Yeah, and this is what Terry says. Frameworks make complex ideas simple and easy to remember. Again, Terry, if you want to come on the show, let me know. I'll make sure that the link is being posted. But maybe you just want to comment, which I love to. But yes, it's correct. Frameworks make complex ideas simple and easy to remember. So, getting back to the whole thing, I actually have thought about this a lot. Every time I was like, I want to go to, for instance, getting my book out there, I was like, no, let's get back to the first thing. First thing is now not only the consistency in getting out there consistently on social media, so daily on Instagram and weekly or more times a week on YouTube, but also getting my blog post out there. And at some point, that means that I also have to think about how I'm going to do all my emails, because I was thinking, okay, I can use the blog post to put in my email and then just a short version. And then I heard last week or the week before that was actually the old way of looking at it, and the emails should be the newsletters, like totally over the moon and beyond, and way more exciting than the blog post. And I was like, oh my god, you know, I what I love about the platform, and again, I'm learning to use it, and Terry knows what I'm talking about. I've said it before, I say it again. And my coach actually said, if I would get $1 for every time someone used the name of that platform, she would be a billionaire by now. Well, I absolutely believe that's true. And I was like, okay, hang on. Yes, email newsletters are so important, but I can only do one step at a time. I'm already happy with the blog posts out there. Yes, I'm going to do the emails. And of course, having the challenges out there and having people sign up already means that people are getting a free PDF with stuff on there. And the good news is that because of the group coaching, I already have started making those PDFs. So again, ever since I've become a CHPC and then also went to Austin, I've learned that one of the things that coaches do to step up is actually create those things and put them on paper and send them to other people. That was sort of kind of new for me, but it helps. It gives, again, clarity. And that's what we want. If we want to focus on something, then it's nice to actually be able to look back on certain things. From there on, it's I've been thinking about something else when I just talked about the clarity. I'm in this group. It's a Pokemon group. I love the people dearly. There are some people out there who have been gaming like for years, and they know one another. So those are the, well, let's say the skilled people over there. I can ask them a number of things, and they don't hesitate. You get the answer. And if they don't give the answer straight away, then you ask again and you get the answer anyway, which is such a cool thing. Now, here's the thing. I believe that giving a guideline with the rules on there, like, okay, when you post for a rate and you want to have a picture of what you want to rate for, and there are also a number of other things, courtesy. You don't post a new rate when the other one is still going on, because that gives, and if you make a list for one rate and then there's a list for the next one, who knows which one is for what? It leads to a lot of confusion. So I believe that's important, when it comes to clarity, to write down what you are actually talking about and doing. And it's weird, and I'm not done with it yet, that they don't believe that it's necessary, that if you explain something one time verbally, that you don't have to see it in writing. I don't agree, and the last thing hasn't been said about it. But, I'm not going to waste my energy on that one. My energy is directed towards all this. Now, going to the next thing. So I talked about the two topics. Yes, you want them to be in line with one another, but you need to make sure that you focus most of your energy, if not all of your energy, on that one thing. And then if there's some time and energy left, then of course you can do the other thing. But the more energy you put in the other thing, the less energy you put in that one thing. And that's what makes it so hard. So I always say, think about the thing that you are already working on, which you are familiar with, which can help you to actually generate money before you go to the next thing. It seems also simple, but I know that there are a lot of people who are done with that one thing. Well, if they're done with that one thing is no longer the one thing, because that one thing that I'm talking about is that one thing that you want to do for yourself because it makes you happy and joyful, and you're like, wow, that's the one thing I want to focus on. That's what I mean with the one thing. It's something that you need to do for you, because when you feel strong and you feel energized, then there's good base for everyone around you. But it starts with you. You need to be focused. You need to be energized. You need to be like, I can handle it all. And then it's the same like with the oxygen mask in an airplane. If it drops, then you need to put up the mask yourself first, and then you do it. You do the same thing for your kids. Yes, excellent. Yeah, strength. It's all about strength and power. The other thing, of course, is, and it sounds so simple, showing up. It's about doing it. And then we also get to the other part here, which is resilience. So the showing up is, like I've said to you, it started with well, actually it started with doing those weekly live sessions, which I stopped again, and then it started again with going daily, with posting daily on Instagram. So that's the showing up. And then saying, okay, I'm going to do those challenges again, showing up. And then saying, okay, I'm going to do the Friday night lives with Lady Lexy again, showing up. If I hadn't done anything, nothing would have happened. So sure, it's nice to have that one thing which is about you, and you gathering all your strengths and happiness related to that one thing. But of course, you also have to take action. And when we go back to what I talked about in the beginning about the dreams and the visualization, and not being specific and clear about that one thing it is you want, which results in somewhat of a shattered bunch of energy and ideas all over the place, which of course makes it very difficult to act on, because your brain is like, yeah, what do you want? One moment you're telling me this, and then the next one you're telling me that. And again, if you believe in something like the universe is also saying, yeah, okay, can't you be more specific? And I don't know if you know those big pieces of paper where you stick all the pictures on and words. So it's a vision board, a dream board. Well, that's pretty static, but you can also see it in front of your eyes. So in your mind's eye, like every day, preferably when you wake up, before you get to do anything, or before you fall asleep. That's when it's the most effective. And also during the day when you need a little bit of a boost. Those are good moments to really think about it. But when you don't, because you're distracted, yeah, that's when no one understands anymore what it is. Because when you start talking to other people about it, they're like, weren't you talking about those plans? And now you are, where did they go? So it has a huge effect, a huge impact on everyone and everything around you. So that's something to consider. Again, back to the showing up. So when you say, I want to do something, you have something specific, concrete in mind. That one thing, it starts with something, starts with one step, and then you go to the next and the next and the next and the next. And the funny thing is that when you start with one, the other one that we were talking about, if you have something else in mind, it will lead to that other one eventually by itself. So like for instance, that email, it will work out once I have my blog post in order. I have the videos in order and everything. So when I have the structure, the basis all in order, then I can add all the other things. That's what it comes down to. The main thing, though, and that's again directly related to the showing up, is the resilience. What if things happen and you are like, I'm so done, I'm so tired? So this last week, I posted a few things. One had to do with me actually walking in a lot of wind, a storm. I loved it when Chica Joe made reference to the Windy City, which is Chicago. We have a thing for Chicago together, even though I love Florida. Terry knows that too. And for me, it's not easy to walk. So when I walk in the wind, it's, when I am dealing with stability, it has its effect on me, and not always in a positive sense. But I was like, well, you know what? I'm out there. It's windy. Let's record it. So I got my phone out there. I started recording. Realized I didn't have my earpieces in, no headphones, and I was like, I'm not sure about the sound. Well, the sound was awful, and I was like, I've got such good footage, and I cannot use it. Of course, the storm didn't die. So a few days later, and yes, Chica Joe says, I love the Windy City. So a few days later, wind was there again. Of course, still no headphones. And I was like, okay, I'm going to talk in the camera. But I had been thinking about, how do I want to go about this? Because the first thing one would say is, well, you record your voice again. I'm no fan of it. It takes a lot of time and energy. Maybe if you're very good at it and you've done it lots of times. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a few things from both videos. So the one was the short one, that was easy. And then I took a little bit of the other video and I just posted the text on top of it. There was one word I couldn't make sense of, but if I don't know what it is, then chances are that you don't either. So I took out the sound and I put a melody underneath. Now, normally I have a tune I've been using since I've been posting every day for the last 57 days. But this one was a different one. It seemed to match more, and I was like, okay, cool, we use that one. And it's there was creativity, and it was actually nice to do it a little bit different, gave me new ideas. And because I already had been thinking about what do I do next time around, or what do I do with the footage I already recorded, it all seemed just to come together. So the other thing when it came to resilience had to do with fatigue. So like I said, it's dark here, it's cold, there has been a lot of rain. So occasionally we have some sunlight nowadays, which is really nice. The temperature has gone up too. Unfortunately, the amount of rain has gone up as well. But apart from that, I go outside whenever I can, and then being part of the whole Pokemon group, or better said, I do the Pokemon Go for myself. I started with Pokemon Go because it helped me to get out there, to go walking, and I need those little distances, those short distances. So that's what I started doing. And even though it has been cold and there has been a lot of wind, I was like, I'm going to continue on. So that's what I mean when it comes to resilience. So again, fatigue was part of it too. And I was like, yeah, I can have the fatigue hold me back, or I can push through. So now I work around the fatigue. I sort of know when I can expect to fall asleep, which can be in the middle of the day. And especially when I've been to the physical therapist. So when I was planning, when I was going to go live, I was like, okay, so just to be clear, for me, it's the middle of the night, for Cheeky Joe too. But because a lot of people from the US are watching and there's time difference of 6 to 9 hours, it's just easier, especially with the training I also get from people in the US, to go to sleep early morning and then get up early afternoon. That's a little bit how it works on my end. So I'm at a loss of words again, and that's basically because of what I'm talking about, which is the fatigue. I said, fatigue or no fatigue, I need to find a way to deal with it. So I don't have like a fixed schedule, but I do have certain things I want to do. There are certain things I need to do during the day, which usually start in the afternoon. And then, of course, there's the recording for the posting and all that stuff out there, which I usually do somewhere in around 3 or 4 at night. And chances are that I've slept before that time, because usually in the evenings I do fall asleep. So I'm up like for maybe 6 hours max, and then lights go out. Well, I know that by now. The only weird thing is that when I wake up, it's like, what time is it? Is it before midnight? Is it after midnight? That's so confusing. Not happy about that, but that's the way it is. But the consistency, that's what has taken priority. So even though I'm tired, and Chicky Joe knows this because every once in a while she's like knocking on my door of the phone, and she is telling me, you haven't posted yet. And then I say, yeah, I know, I fell asleep. But, I'm working on something, and sometimes I don't know what I want to post just yet. But I believe that if I focus on the topic and I turn inwards, that something sensible will come out. And I guess that's the reason why I've been able to post about one topic like every day during the month. Because quite honestly, when it was January and I was thinking, okay, December was easy. I spent the first 5 to 10 minutes talking about how easy it was. But then January, about courage, I was like, I don't know if I can do it. But we're almost at the end of the month, last weekend of the month, and I did it. So it's doable. It just has to do with focus. And again, showing up, consistency, and when it's a little bit harder, using that resilience to get back to where you need to be in order to remain consistent. Now, going back to the whole clarity and specificity, the clarity I've got is I want to get out there. I want to post every day. I want people to be able to see me. I want to inspire other people. And the only way to inspire other people is if I'm there. If I'm not out there, then how can I inspire people? I want to create a ripple effect of people daring to speak up and speak out, share their story. And again, if I wouldn't do it every day, how would they know? I mean, it's basically as simple as that. So when we talk about that one thing, it's all related to the whole speaking up, speaking out, sharing the story, and causing that ripple effect, leaving a legacy. And then I get back to the second topic, and the second topic is I saw it a little bit late. Terry has gone to sleep. It was nice to have him on here for a moment. So getting back to this is the thing. Every time I focus on something else, then and that's normal on my end. it gets a little haywire in my head. I am like, oh, what was I talking about? And today it happens a lot, but then again, I've been used to it all my life. And what I've learned is there's no such thing as showing that you're human on the camera. So apparently people like it when you're not perfect, which is one of the other things when it comes to perfection. Yes, I can be tired. It cannot turn out the way I wanted to, like with the videos, with the wind on there. But then we get back to the whole resilience part. We make something of it. We don't go for perfection. We go for, okay, I want to get the message across because that's the most important thing. And then we get back to the whole thing, all combined. It's literally about what's the message I want to get across. So that one thing usually is related to the heart, what makes you happy, and that is related to the message you want to get across. What's that one thing that you have done, which you know about, and that you are like, if only I could share this with people so they could make a different choice. That idea. So yes, I want to inspire people. Fortunately for me, and I heard this today, I need to share this. I also work with some local people over here. And when it comes to those people, I actually speak up for them on their behalf. So they do sit in on those meetings and conversations. And one of my clients said, yeah, I'm starting to speak up for myself now. I'm getting there. And I was like, yes, that's what we want. No longer being afraid of all the people around you and of all the circumstances that can happen, but just doing it. Uh, I can tell you how good that feels. Anyway, to wrap it all up, today was about clarity and specificity. If you want to apply courage to that one thing, so that one thing that you love to do, in order to create all that energy that you need, to be able to, you know, um, do the thing that inspires you and which helps you to inspire others. That one thing that builds your energy so you can then help others. So which is your basis out there. It's important to know what it is that you want. So talk about it with other people. Um, Write it down, reflect on it, have a coach. But be sure that, I mean, no matter how many coaches you've got and how often you talk to other friends about it, if you don't do anything, if you don't show up, nothing happens. But when you do show up, then don't be beaten down or let down when circumstances are not that good and not that, you know, there have been a lot of times that I've recorded being tired. I know I've got the dark circles underneath my eyes. I have trouble expressing myself, but I check, does it come across? And I hear, yeah, it comes across. So I'm like, okay. So resilience is also a major part of it all. And if you keep focusing on that one thing, then and you let the energy go to that one thing again. If you have second thing, if it's in line with the first one, which has to do with what it is you want to achieve, what you want to leave as a legacy, might be big, might be small, then you'll know. So don't worry too much about it. But start with one thing, work on it, and then just see what happens. And again, I was so surprised to see that I was actually scheduling ahead. I was like, what? Me? Can I do that? I've done things I've never thought were possible in the last month. So yes, there is a lot possible if only you are focused and you work diligently and consistently on that one thing. Well, like I said, if you sign up for the course, because this is going to be a course, the Courage Challenge, then I'll make sure that you also get access to the Clarity Challenge. Yes, I'm still posting it all out there. Yes, I was talking about that one platform. So, but it's things like these which actually make me move ahead. So if you say, well, I want to hang on to this challenge like forever, then make sure that you sign up for the Courage Challenge. So signing up just to watch the 3 days will get you a free PDF. But if you actually buy the course, then of course you get a lot more. So something to think about. And that includes the Clarity Challenge. And yes, Joanna says, yes, people go sign up. You will benefit so much. Well, she knows she has been with me for the last couple of years. So yeah, we understand one another pretty well. ladylexy.com/courage challenge. You can go there. And again, when you choose to work on that one thing for you and you get clarity, and I've got a nice sheet with 16 questions on there to help you get clarity. But you also watch the daily posts and you get into the questions that are put on there, then you will get a far better understanding about what it is you want to do and what you need to do. And by talking to someone about it, whether it's friends or family or coach, or just writing it down, it all depends on the resources and the time and the energy you've got. Um, there will be clarity. That's a promise. You will get clarity, but it requires consistency to get back at it again and again and again and again and again. And you again will be surprised what is possible. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time. Um, and then we are going to talk about a different topic, still related to that one thing and still related to courage. So be there and let me know what it is, what your one thing is that you want to work on, and what you got out of today.